PogChamp boys, Battles 3.9 is here and I'm jizzing all over it just from reading the patch notes. Well, not really, I was being half sarcastic there. So now let me run down the patch notes with you so that you understand why that was the case. As most of us should know, Ninja Kiwi realized they done goofed with update 3.8 and so now they're working on bringing more competitive changes to the game within the next few patches, starting with this one. Let's take a look at this developer's note they posted in the notes. In addition to the Power Cards update for 3.9, the developers are also using this patch to address the issues of skilled players always running into late game. I'll talk more about that middle stuff later. Let me just jump to the end where they say they are adding more informative patch notes so we understand their decisions behind it. Happy to hear feedback on the updates. Well, it's great to hear that finally the Ninja Kiwi devs are listening to the community. It only took them 3 years or so. But have they really with these issues? Well, let's take a look at the real patch notes. First off, new power cards. Obviously this has nothing to do with fixing the game, it's just another one of those updates for cards that will keep us filled for another few weeks or so and was already planned for a while. I already explained them in a recent video, so I'll just give a brief summary over here. Basically they're one-time use ability for a fixed cost, and provides an effect that is either defensive or offensive. If you want more information then I will gladly link you over to this paste bin which you can find in the description where some guy snuck into the source code and got all the information about the power cards, including quite possibly the order of which they will be released, since they're part of the card of the week rotation now. Moving on because I have all the time in the world to talk about cards in future videos. Fast cooldown ZOMGs. Again, I already talked about it but I'll reiterate it for those who didn't hear. Apparently this $10,000 rush available on round 24 is their solution to stopping late game, which I guess is a good thing because it's miles better to end a game in 10 minutes rather than 50, though the real question lies on whether such a rush is possible to defend, or is it practically impossible and now comes down to whoever can send and stall the rush out first. Obviously I'm not in a position to answer this since I have no motivation to play the game competitively due to the fact there is no true leaderboard system, but what I can say based on hard numbers is that, are fast cooldown ZOMGs really that much harder to defend than spaced ZOMGs that come out 2 rounds earlier? Think of it this way, a common loadout is Dart Farm and Ace. And to defend ZOMGs with this loadout you just use the fan club to break apart the big Bloons, then clean up the rest with a ground zero. With more spaced ZOMGs this becomes a bit more of a problem because the fan club monkeys can only target one ZOMG at a time, meaning you require more ground zeros to defend since not all Bloons will break apart at once. With this logic, wouldn't fast cooldown ZOMGs be even easier to defend, because the fan club's darts will always be hitting the max amount of ZOMGs since they're literally right on top of each other, and it means less ground zeros required as most of the blimps will break apart at once. Obviously this doesn't apply to chippers since they don't have infinite popping power and thus makes fast cooldown ZOMGs a pain in the ass, but in my opinion I don't see why so. Many people are all up in arms over this addition, saying it's going to completely ruin the game cause it's apparently impossible to defend with the current meta towers. Sure, maybe they're mad cause it isn't the fix they're looking for, but as someone who will avoid late game in any way possible, I don't mind this as being a temporary fix, though further changes are still necessary to balance the game. More on this after. Next we have Zen Garden. No additional comments necessary because it's a new map and there's nothing more to say about it. Then Hot Tub, I can't believe they've done this, but I'm glad they're owning up to their mistake by changing it back to its original Flash form. Well, I wouldn't exactly say owning up to their mistake. When they say here it was not meant to be a lengthened map it sort of feels like they're saying making it the longest map was an accident. As if deliberately adding code to make the Bloons loop one more time can possibly be accidental. LOL. Next point they're addressing is map availability. That is, they are planning on long maps being axed in higher level arenas and having them exclusive to the low level arenas cause that's where the noobs play. Can't complain about this change at all. Again, it's not a change that fixes the fundamental problems about battles, but it's at least something that benefits anyone who plays in said arenas. Moving on to bug fixes, nothing really of importance here, so I'll head right on to the final portion of the patch notes. Balance changes for classic battles. This is where I want to bring in the fast cooldown ZOMGs again because these tower price changes play a major role on its impact. First and most important thing to mention are these tower nerfs. See anything similar about them? That's right, all these towers are meta aside from the ninja sabotage, which is still really good, and they all got a price hike because Ninja Kiwi listened to those who wanted a change in meta. Well, all that really did is make rushes even harder to defend, especially the fast cooldown ZOMGs I mentioned, cause now it's an extra couple $1,000 you need to spend per ability use. On the flip side though, they did make these other buffs to lesser used towers, like the village, mortar, wizard and sniper, which got an insane price decrease on almost all its upgrades, so it'll be interesting to see if it can find its way into being useful now. Though I still have my doubts on that. As for the mortar decrease, that's great, but until they fix the damn explosions on the bomb and mortar, then I'm afraid it'll still be too unreliable to use. And that is the end of the 3.9 update, folks. My overall thoughts on it is it's a step in the right direction for competitive, but there's still a ways to go in terms of fixing the meta as well as the leaderboards, which haven't been touched as of yet. I'll leave a poll on the side so you can voice your opinions on this patch. On a final note, I've been scanning the YouTube comments for update opinions, and I ran across a few of them saying it was the worst update of all time, even worse than 3.8. Which was absolutely ridiculous considering they actually have done some things right in 3.9, like buffing some underused towers and fixing fucked up maps like Hot Tub. Whereas absolutely everything in 3.8 was a train wreck. I also saw a few people complaining how they keep nerfing the strong towers and never try to bring anything else into the meta. I guess they must have been completely oblivious to the other tower changes, I guess. LOL. Anyways, this is dragging out far too long. I'll explain my thoughts in more detail next video. Have an informative day.